What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today I'm going to be talking about a massively oversold stock. It's a huge stock that you guys have all probably heard of, but it's currently massively oversold. It's been down about 80% over the past 6 to 7 months, and it's actually down another 4.5% today. This stock has massive growth potential in the future. I think currently it's pretty oversold. I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain what happened, what this company is doing to change the current situation they're in, and why I think it'll be growing to a much higher price in the coming months and years. And we're going to start off just looking at some of the statistics for this stock. It is Shopify, ticker symbol SHOP. And you guys have all probably heard of this company. It is an e-commerce company. They allow e-commerce solutions for individual vendors by helping people set up websites that they can then sell products on. And they make a lot of their money by taking a cut from those websites. They take a small percentage of all the sales of those websites, and there are also some subscription fees that go along with it. So they are a competitor to Amazon. Okay, Amazon is a competitor to them since they're both involved in the e-commerce space, an area that's likely to grow massively over the coming years. And that has actually led to massive growth in both Amazon and Shopify stock over the past couple of years. And actually the past decade, just about both of these stocks have been growing pretty significantly, but Shopify is much, much smaller than Amazon. They are a much newer company. They founded themselves about 12 years after Amazon. So they haven't had nearly the time that Amazon has had to develop themselves, but they are growing very fast, and they've already become a $43 billion company, but that's actually nothing compared to what they were just about 8 months ago when this stock was at peaks of $176.29. Now they're currently trading for $34. They have been hit hard during this bear market. They've moved down dramatically, and they've actually sunk to levels that they were at way back during the pandemic crash, during 2020, during the COVID crash. They are actually hitting some of the lows that they were hitting back then and some of the lows they were hitting back in 2019 before a lot of their growth had taken place. Now, if you're actually wondering what caused this massive crash, it's not just the bear market that they've been in. There were some underlying things that happened to the company that caused this massive decline in stock price. However, a lot of this, I think, is more so fear-based decline in stock price than actual fundamental valuation. If you look, you can see one of the main reasons why this company is doing poorly. The US e-commerce adoption growth rate. You can see that during the pandemic, we spiked up massively. For many, many years, e-commerce is becoming more and more prevalent in the United States. And you can see we saw a massive spike during the pandemic. Not everyone wanted to leave their houses. A lot of people just wanted to stay in and order things. And that led to big growth for Shopify. It led to big growth for Amazon. However, Shopify ended up overextending themselves. They took on way too many expenses. We're going to look at some of the statements that show that and essentially what happened is they overbit. They bit off more than they could chew. And as adoption for e-commerce slowed a little bit over the coming years, they ended up taking a massive hit to their income because they just overextended themselves. And now we're actually expecting that e-commerce will slow down and eventually steady itself around this normal growth curve that it was on and then continue to pick back up. It's just that it was too much too soon due to the pandemic. We saw a massive spike, and Shopify was a little bit optimistic about what that meant for their company. They saw massive rises in stock price. The CEO even admitted that he was a little bit wrong to be doing what he did. He said it's now clear that bet didn't pay off regarding his massive improvement in the company, or at least his attempt to improve the company by making big expansions. And he is actually going to be fixing some of his mistakes. He laid off 10% of staff, and he's going to be trying to cut costs, because if you look at what happened to their income, you can see it's these blue bars over here, quarter by quarter. In 2021, their income was fine. In fact, if you look at an annual level, their income was rising dramatically. It skyrocketed in 2021, and then unfortunately took a massive hit, actually went negative in 2022 because of all these expenses they were taking out. Now, these black bars are their revenue. You can see their revenue has been increasing, and in 2022 has stayed somewhat similar. It's not actually taken too big of a hit. It's taken a small hit, but it's not as massive as the hit to income was. So their revenues are still the same for the most part, but overall, they were just overextending themselves, taking out way too many expenses, and they did dramatically decrease their income from actually something that was quite positive to a big, big negative. So overall, they're trying to fix that. Once they do, I'm confident that they'll be able to maintain big growth in the area. I think that e-commerce is going to only continue growing over the coming years. But overall, looking at this, way back in 2019, before any of that even happened, they were valued at these levels. And before the pandemic, they were actually trading closer to $50 than the $35 that they're now trading at. And I think that this company has actually made some big growth. They have improved their revenue by quite a bit. They've kept it steady over the course of 2022 for the most part. And I think that there is big growth potential in the future. But as soon as they do shore up their income, as soon as they decrease their expenses, get some more income coming in, I think that investors will be a lot less wary of this stock. I think investors will be much more willing to be buying this stock up again. And that could lead to a big growth in the stock price in a small period of time, because right now people are in fear mode. People are just selling Shopify stock because they noticed that their income was dropping and becoming actually pretty negative over the time period when we were going through a big bear market. If you look at the QQQ, you can see a lot of stocks dropped off over the same time period. And, unfortunately, or fortunately rather, they have started coming back. Shopify, unfortunately, has not. They're still down about 4.5%. They just had their income or their earnings call just 2 days ago. So unfortunately, I haven't quite come back yet, but I expect that they will over the coming months. Probably at later earnings calls, right? They'll really need to start proving to investors that they can get this income number back in the positive again. And they're starting to do that, right? They did lay off 10% of their staff, recognizing the fact that they made a mistake, that e-commerce growth was slowing. And it's understandable why it's slowing, right? Everyone wants to go back out. They want to get back out into the real world. They don't want to be cooped up buying stuff online. But overall, I think that we have a big way to go, because e-commerce adoption has actually only reached during the peak of the pandemic about 17%. It still wasn't that massive. Right now, we slumped down to maybe 14 or 13.5%. And I do expect that over the next decade, we're going to see this get much, much higher, probably way above 50% over the next decade would be my expectation. I think we're going to see a whole bunch of e-commerce because it is just so easy to do. It's going to save everyone a lot of money and a lot of time if they're buying stuff online as opposed to in person. And I think that Shopify will end up seeing big gains over the coming years, over the course of 2022 most likely, and certainly, in my opinion, over the course of 2023. I think we'll see big gains for Shopify stock. It'll probably take at least a year or two to get back up to all-time highs. I don't expect that to happen anytime too soon. This was certainly an overextension due to huge hype and expectations for e-commerce to be doing better than it turns out it did. So overall, that's my opinion on Shopify stock. That's why I've been buying it today. And I think that they have some pretty big room to grow in the near future. So I'm probably going to continue buying them, especially if they keep dipping. I'm going to be buying more of Shopify. That's just my opinion, though, not financial advice. If you guys appreciate it, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.